Good evening, golfing fans. Welcome back to the channel, proudly sponsored by betting.co.uk. So, I'm just back bringing you my selections for this week's DP World Tour event as we head into the Open de Espana or the Spanish Open, and we have a really strong lineup for this week's event. We have Jon Rahm turning up, Tyrell Hatton, Tommy Fleetwood. We've got Shane Lowry. Four players that are actually already single figures in the market, but I'm definitely going to be taking them on with some much bigger selections. I've got two for you in this episode. And then I'm just going to mention a couple of long shots that you could be worth considering at much bigger prices as well. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I really do appreciate you tuning in. And if you are able to click subscribe, that does help the channel out that little bit more. It's completely free to do. It just gets my content out there to a little bit more of a wider audience. Now, before I go on to my selections, just a little bit of a background about myself. I'm an ex-tour professional, so I've had some playing experience, and I'm now putting that to good use, trying to find you the players that I think are best suited to the courses every single week. And it's gone pretty well so far over the last few years. Last season across Twitter and YouTube, I was the second most profitable tipster across those platforms. And we're hitting some really good form this year too. We've had four profitable weeks in a row. I'm looking to make it five this week as well. But I'm certainly not playing it safe. Got some big prices for you this week with a squad ranging from 60 to 1 all the way out to 175 to 1. Now, in this episode, just like usual, you will get my two main selections. But if you want the remainder of my squad, all you need to do is come over and join the group chat using the link in the description below. Okay, so before we go on to my selections for this week, it's probably worth us taking a quick look back at the BMW Championship last week at Wentworth. Again, another nice profitable week for us. My two selections that I put up in this video were Laurie Cantor, who of course withdrew before the tournament started, so we got our money back there. But my other selection was Matteo Manacero at 35 to 1. Now, I do feel really hard done by Matteo last week. Of course, he managed to make a nice profit with him finishing in a tie for fourth. But heading into the final round, he did actually have a three-shot lead. And to be honest, just put in a really disappointing performance. What I like to see with players in their final rounds, and I do go on about this quite often in most of my videos, is I like to see players switch to a stock shot in the final round. These are generally where you'll see players hold out their leads. This is how you get a tournament finished and completed, but he just really didn't seem to be that confident last week. What he did all in the final round was just continued with his draw. He should have switched to the fade. That's how he managed to win the Johnson Workwear Open at the beginning of this season. And of course, he's played really well since. He's had multiple top 10 since then as well. But in the final round at Wentworth, I don't know if it was a confidence issue or a bit of nerves. I mean, of course, it's quite acceptable. But he was starting up with a setup aiming down the left and then hitting a soft draw. It just makes no sense where he should have started aiming down the left and then trying to play a soft fade. This is just how you keep the ball in play. This is how you hit the greens in regulation. And then, of course, a couple of two putts probably get you the job done. Considering he started on 18 under par, the winning score was 20 under par. I just feel really hard done by there. But anyway, we had nice profit out of Matteo Manacero, and it made it a profitable week for us once again. Now, for those of you that are in my group chat, you will know that I had two further selections for you. One of them being Thriston Lawrence, who placed for us as well at 35 to 1. Again, another little bit of a hard luck story here. We finished the round at 20 under par. He had a two-shot lead with one group to play who were two holes behind. But then, of course, the inevitable happened. Rory went and eagled 17 to force the playoff. And then Billy Horschel finished birdie to make it a three-way playoff. And then we had Thriston Lawrence go out after just the one hole. So we had a three-shot lead with Matteo. We had a two-shot lead with Thriston, but neither could get it done. But both did manage to land us profit. And my fourth selection was Thomas Dietrich, who was a little bit of a cliff player for me. I have actually backed him quite a lot in the past, but I've left him alone for the last year or so, simply due to him throwing in the odd bad round. And the same happened again last week. He had 66, 75, 66, and then 71 to finish in a tie for 30th. Again, a pretty decent result there for Thomas Dietrich, but he's got the class to win one of these events, so it was quite disappointing nonetheless. But if you come over and join my group, we are actually at 39.75 points profit for this month. Now, moving on to this week, we have the Open de Espana, the Spanish Open at Club de Campo for the fifth straight year. Last year's winner was Matthew Pavon. But what's interesting about these tournaments in Spain, especially the Open de Espana, four of the last five winners have actually been from Spain, which is not really a trait that I like to follow. But Spanish players do have a little bit of a knack of playing well in their home country, and this tournament obviously proves that quite well. The course is 7,154 yards long. It's a par 71 with three par fives, and this is a very, very low scoring event. The average winning score here is 22 under. The course record is 60, and you're going to expect to see a lot of 61s and 62s for this week, which isn't really something that we're used to on the DP World Tour. I definitely prefer punting on the DP World Tour generally because we get harder golf courses. As mentioned, we started off at the Belfry, we then went to Crans, we then had Royal County Down, we had Wentworth. We've got a low scoring event this week, so I'm not too bothered because we go back to St Andrews next week for the Alfred Dunhill links as well. But I like the difficult courses. This is where you can really look into the intricate details, and probably where I separate myself from most other golf tipsters, because I know what's required to win at difficult courses and what intricate details to follow, rather than just looking at greens and regulation, who's holding the least amount of putts, etc. Because it really doesn't correlate when you look at the courses. For example, if you find a player that's obviously hitting a lot of greens in regulation, you go back and look through the form. It might be a really short course, big greens, flat greens. So it doesn't correlate when you get on the difficult courses. You really need to look into the finer details. And I think that's where I separate myself from other tipsters. Okay, so in this episode, I'm going to be bringing you my two main selections. But again, if you want my full squad, all you need to do is click the link in the description below to come over and join me and my members. We've got loads of extra content there, a full player profile to all of my selections. You'll get a full tournament preview and all of the intricate details which you should be looking for to win in each event. Okay, so in this week, we have a very undulating course, which makes it play a lot shorter. It's not too much shorter on paper than what we saw at Wentworth last week, but all of these fairways generally slope down towards the greens here. It is quite a tree-lined course, but fairly wide open, and you're not often left with too much distance into these greens. So you've got undulating greens as well, but they're very well bunkered, a very tree-lined sort of course, but still you do have plenty of room. If you want to look at some of the stats here, I have got a few together for you. You want players that have got a high birdie rate. You want players that are good with their short irons. And you want a reliable putter as well, because as I said, the scoring this week is going to be really, really low. Jon Rahm's obviously the favourite here at 100 to 30, ridiculously short when you look at the golf tournaments for the amount of players. You've got over 100 in every single field, but he is obviously the right favourite here. He's won it 3 times, and he's back here again because he wants to be the record holder. His hero is the joint record holder with him, Seve Ballesteros. Him and Rahm both have 3 wins in this event. I'm sure he would love to make it 4. That is why he is over here playing in this event. I'm just not interested in the big names this week. Single figure odds in golf is just risky business. And even if you're landing the each way terms, you're not really getting much gain. And as I said, we had 4 profitable weeks. Even though we're looking to make it 5, I'm certainly not playing safe. My full squad ranges from 60 to 1 out to 175 to 1. I've usually got a 4-man squad actually in my group. It's sort of a maximum where you'll see most tipsters put 6, 7, 8 selections up. Just doesn't interest me, especially if you don't get the winner. It could be a very, very painful event. And if you're backing that many selections, then you're just pretty much winging it, and you can probably get the winner, or you're going to hit the winner a few times just in that sense anyway. But on this occasion, I have maxed out. I've got 6 selections for you, but simply because I'm taking on all of these short price players this week, and I've got some massive price selections for you in this week's squad. Okay, the first of my main 2 selections, though, is going to be Englishman Sam Bairstow at 110 to 1, 8 places with William Hill, and he is world number 231 at the moment. And this is actually a tournament I can see a player actually getting a breakthrough victory, and Sam Bairstow just sets up for this really, really nicely. He is actually 4th in the most birdies across the tour. He's got a very high birdie average, which again, very likable around here. He's got a very, very reliable short game. And even though he can be a little bit wayward off the tee with his driver, the driver isn't always actually going to be needed around here. And even though I mentioned to you it's quite a tree line course, there is still plenty of room here. So I can waver that one a little bit for this week. And I think Sam Bairstow fits the bill really, really nicely. He actually missed 3 cuts coming into Wentworth last week, but then shot 10 under to give him a top 30 finish. And he is generally a player that when he starts to play well, he gets on a little bit of a roll. Doesn't really matter what shot shape you hit around this golf course. I just want some reliable short game players and someone who's reliable with their short irons and their wedges. He finished 14th in the Czech Masters prior to those three missed cuts, which is a course that correlates quite well to this one. And I think he's probably one of the players that is looking most overpriced. I can't believe you can get 110 to 1 about Sam Bairstow this week. A very, very talented player. And where you look at him in the market, there's players that are surrounding him. He is miles better than these. He's got really good controlled short game, reliable with those wedges, reliable with those irons, a really good putter, which you'll need on these undulating greens. And 110 to 1, I think that's actually just a really big discredit to his ability. And he is selection at number one. Again, if you want more details to why I fancy Sam Bairstow this week, come over and join the group chat. But my second selection is another big priced fancy here. And these are my main two selections, by the way. They're my strongest fancies of the week. It's world number 223, Hugo Casso at 150 to 1. Again, 8 places with William Hill. He's another really high up there with the average amount of birdies. He's 19th across the entire tour. And another player who does really well when he starts to find his form. He finished 7th last week at Wentworth, really dialing in with those irons. He hits it a mile. Again, that's not actually a requirement this week, but he's very, very reliable with his shorter clubs, and he's a very good putter too. And without that putter working this week, you are not going to be scoring well. Despite this being short, and despite the average winning score being around 22 under par, you've got very undulating greens. You need a good putter on your side. Both Sam Bairstow and Hugo Casso are very, very good with their short games. And I think they're real standout selections this week amongst a lot of short prices, which I'm definitely going to be avoiding. Okay, all of these short price fancies, Jon Rahm, Tyrell Hatton, Tommy Fleetwood, etc., are very good players. But if you're not rocking that putter well, it doesn't matter how good you are from tee to green. If you're not rocking the putter well, making those putts is just pointless. You hitting the green in two or hitting the ball close. If you're not making those short putts, you might as well hit it 20 foot away and then two putt. Tommy Fleetwood, for example, very, very ropey with his putter. Should be winning more big tournaments. Should contend better in the majors. Tyrell Hatton actually is quite reliable with his putter. Possibly not so reliable with his irons this year, considering how good of a talent he is. So again, I'm just willing to take these players on this week with some more juice. So Sam Bairstow at 110 to 1 and Hugo Casso at 150 to 1 are my two strongest selections for this week's tournament. Again, I do have a 6-man squad this week, so I've got 4 other selections for you at massive prices that are well worth a look. And if you'd like to join me, there is a link in the description below. Okay, so I'm going to mention 3 players to you now. Now, these haven't actually made my squad, so take these just with a pinch of salt, but I just thought they're absolutely massive prices for the credentials they hold. And I just think they could well play themselves into places this week. Loads of places available, William Hill. You get 8 places available. And with it being a low scoring event, I really like the flashy players, those that really attack the golf course. And these 3 are just massive prices. None of them have yet won on tour, but they can definitely have a breakthrough sooner or later. And again, big prices could just be worth a second look. The first is Yannick De Bruyne at 300 to 1. Really smart Belgian player. Again, quite a flashy sort of player, more than capable of shooting 62, 63, 64 when the score is out there. He's very attacking. And again, he's a real momentum player. So when he starts playing well, his putter starts to go well with it. And I could just see him really getting himself into the places there. And I'd actually probably consider Yannick as a first round leader bet as well. So it might be worth a second look at that price at 300 to 1. The second long shot to consider could be Matthias Bessard, another Belgian. He is actually 500 to 1 with William Hill. Again, very similar to Yannick, actually. He's a real attacking sort of player. He's a player improving with the experience. He thrives in the big events. And he's had some really good finishes in some events this year. Some top 10s, some top 20s. And when it clicks again, I just don't think he's I don't think he's going to be too far out of the mix. You're getting 100 to 1 for the place effectively for Matthias Bessard this week. And even if a few of those top players are in the top 8 places for this week, there's plenty of room for other players as well. And again, Matthias, another player that can go really low around some scoreable courses. And again, plays well at the correlated courses as well. The KLM Open, the Soudal Open, the Czech Masters, the really gettable sort of golf courses. And then one more to mention will be Sebastian Garcia Rodriguez. 500 to 1 as well, 8 places with William Hill. And again, a player that's had really good results at the right courses. All 3 of these players have very similar games. Very attacking, reliable with their short game when they're playing when they're playing well from tee to green. And if they're not playing well from tee to green, then it's pointless anyway. So I'm taking that chance on these three that they're going to start really well. I just think they could be worth a second look here. And of course, Sebastian Garcia is a player here playing in his home Open. And as mentioned, they've got a pretty decent record here too. So they aren't part of my main squad. I just thought they were worth mentioning because they're huge prices. If you want a really small punt, when you're pretty much getting 100 to 1 for a place on these three selections. Okay, so just to recap, my main two selections for the week, there were Sam Bairstow at 110 to 1 and Ugo Cusso at 150 to 1. 8 places with William Hill, and we're looking to make it 5 profitable weeks in a row. Okay, so last thing to mention, thank you for joining me once again. I will be back again every single week with my main selections. I'll probably try and add a couple of bombs like those three as well. But again, my group is profitable every single month. So it pretty much pays for itself. Nice and cheap, loads of extra content, a good group of guys to talk to whilst the tournament goes on. We have loads of extra. I put in some ACCAs as well for round 1, 2, 3, and 4. We do some mega ACCAs. We have sweepstakes, all of the good stuff. And if you'd like to go over and join me there for more content, feel free to do so. But that is, of course, only optional. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. If you are able to click subscribe, please do. It's completely free to do so. It really does help me out a great deal. We've had a really good response to those in recent weeks. And hopefully by clicking that subscribe button, you'll get a bit of extra good luck this week too. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you all again next week with some more selections for the Alfred Dunhill links at St Andrews. Good luck with your bets. Bye for now.